Hey there, this is Miss Emma Grace. You're listening to Rooted. This is the first episode of our new series that will last until the end of the spring 2020 semester called Rooted Senior Conversations. During these episodes, we want to focus in on seniors and what their Huntington stories are. We want to give them the opportunity to tell their stories, how they got to HU, how they've grown at HU, and what their hopes are for the future. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted by searching Forester Radio Rooted on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. And as always, you can stream Forester Radio anytime, anywhere on foresterradio.com. For this first episode of Rooted Senior Conversations, I called one of my best friends, Paige Schreiber, to talk about how our transitions to online schooling are going as seniors and our HU journey. I am so excited for you to take a listen.
Hello, Paige.
Hi, Emma.
So about 2-3 weeks ago, we got the email from Huntington that we were not going to be coming back to campus for school. And so I was wondering what your feelings were when you received that email.
Yeah, it just started out, hey, we're going to spend spring break because of the coronavirus. And it seemed like it wasn't such a big deal because a bunch of schools were doing it. And it's just we had our spring break and we always thought it was going to be a week or two. And then when it became a thing of an entire semester being gone, it was really hard for me because I was thinking about what's going to happen next. Is there going to be graduation? Am I going to be able to say goodbye to my friends? Am I supposed to move out of my dorm? Am I able to move out of my dorm right away? When do I have to do that? So there's a lot of emotions. I was crying because I was so upset about what I had to think about next, what was going to happen for everything going on this next semester.
Yeah, I remember me and you were texting pretty immediately after we got the email. And I just remember both of us, and it's kind of funny looking back now because it feels like forever ago, and it really wasn't. But we both were we were sad, but I feel at that time we were still optimistic, and I feel that's how a lot of seniors were feeling at that period.
Oh, yeah.
So what was it like moving back home? Because you're in a different situation. For those who don't know, I am a commuter, and I got married this past August, lived at home with our parents, or actually lived on campus normally when school's actually going normal. And so what was that like for you to move back home and to live with your parents again? Because that's difficult for a college student to do.
Yeah, it was very difficult for me because I had just for this semester figured out my routine, and I love having a routine of I'm ready to get this done, I need to go work out. I would get up at 8 a.m., go to my classes. I had this schedule for myself that I loved because I love having something to do at each time of the day. And when I came home, even now I still don't have a routine and it's hard for me to get stuff done because I'm just I have things I can do. My daughter here has to take care of the dogs while my mom's on her Zoom call so they don't interrupt her calls. And now that my dad, he retired yesterday. He's home. He needs help working on the house and projects on the house. And I'm trying to figure out when I can do my classwork because a lot of my professors actually aren't doing the Zoom calls. They're sending me audio messages or videos so I can do them whenever, which is kind of nice. But also it gives you the opportunity to kind of procrastinate it.
Yes.
And that's been kind of difficult, making sure I don't procrastinate to the point where I don't do it. Definitely something I need to work on a little bit. But it definitely has been a lot harder. There's been days in the beginning where I just wouldn't sleep because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was stressing about school. And my internship was definitely an outlet for me. And knowing that I can't go there anymore for at least a week was very difficult for me. Also with independency, not that I can't do things, but the fact that we can't even go outside and go anywhere is hard for me. Because even on campus, I was okay, well, I'm kind of hungry. Might as well just go grab something from Wendy's or just a little something, or go say hi to a couple friends one of their dorms and hang out for a little bit. And it's just me and my parents because my sister's still at school. So it's definitely hard trying to figure out stuff, but it's not been awful. It's not I can't bear hanging out with my parents. We have gotten this routine where they do their work during the day and I do my work. Time we're okay, after dinner, which is around 6ish sometimes, we like watch a movie or something to hang out. So like we have some interaction.
Yeah.
So it is kind of nice that I know I have the whole day to like work on my homework and do whatever I want to do. Like watch videos, watch my TV shows, whatever, and then hang out with them. So it's getting better. How's it been for you, you and Sam? Because you're home now too.
Yeah, so Sam is home from work because they're not an essential business. So we've been doing that for a week now. That's been interesting for us because when we were dating, I lived on Huntington's campus, and so we were distanced for most of the week. I went home most weekends, so we're still, I guess, considered distance. I don't know. I don't always consider us a distance because I still saw him every week. But it's like, still, that wasn't very much. We saw each other like maybe 2 days, and it wasn't even a full 2 days because he was in cross country and track and whatnot. And so then like we got married and we had the week like our honeymoon all together, and we came back and he went back to work and I went, I started getting ready for school and went to school. And so we really have never spent this much time together before. It's not bad or anything. It's just weird. It's just, and our apartment is very small. We are, for the listener, if you just imagine your stereotypical newlywed apartment, 2 rooms, one's a bedroom, one's a living room and kitchen, that's us. And we're in a basement too, so that doesn't help either. So we are feeling the 4 walls coming in on us pretty quickly here. But other than that, I mean, we've been pretty good. I have my desk out in the living room. He has his desk in our bedroom, and so he plays video games in there, and I get my work done out here. So there is that separation during the week, a little bit, which helps a lot. And I feel, I mean, it depends on the day how motivated I am to get things done. I have found already Mondays and Fridays are not my good days at all. Yesterday didn't feel like doing anything, and I had a little bit to get done. And today I've gotten quite a bit more done. But, I think it's just a process. And like you, I only have 2 classes that are on Zoom, and the rest of them are just videos. And that's kind of rough because I think a lot of us seniors, we already have a bad attitude about it. Because we're like, we didn't sign up for this, which nobody did. But, we like to be self-centered for a little bit and just be like, I didn't sign up to watch videos of a professor. So I'm definitely missing that professor-student interaction every day. And even like with your classmates, like that's not even on Zoom, it just feels weird. It's not. Yeah. It's not the same. It's really not the same student-professor interaction that you would get on campus. And I know a lot of professors feel the same way as we do. This is not the Huntington mantra. This is not how we do things. So it's been good, but it's been difficult, but it's been okay. Yeah. Paige, can you kind of tell what your journey was getting to HU?
Yeah, so I knew from like my first day of high school that I wanted to get into at least broadcasting or film, just because it entertained me so much. And for me, I had no idea where to start looking at schools like that had film. Like I just didn't know like if I wanted to go across the country like this early. Like I didn't know if I could be away from home that far. And one of my best friends, her sister, actually went to Huntington for film too. She was like, you guys should just come visit. Like, use one of your visits. You could stay here. Like, we can kind of hang out and stuff. I was like, well, might as well. Like, a day off of high school is fine. Like, the worst that could happen is, like, I don't have to go to school. Like, So, yeah, I went to the campus, and I was like, oh, my gosh, this is so pretty. Like, this looks really nice here. And I always wanted, like, a smaller school just because, like, I'm like a pretty shy person, and I was like, I don't think I could do well with like IU or anything. But I met with Lance Clark, who is like the head of film, and he talked to me about what I was interested in, what I wanted to do. And I told him like I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to do broadcasting or film because I liked both of them. And he actually told me I could double degree at Huntington and do both of them. And if I ever wanted to switch out of one of them, I could. Like, so I had to decide right away. So that was definitely a plus. And then getting to know that, like, from day one, I was going to be able to touch cameras, get to work with broadcasting and, like, broadcast games from, like, the very first week was, like, super amazing because a bunch of other schools, like Ball State and that, were like, oh, yeah, you have to wait till, like, your junior year to touch a camera. And that just didn't seem, like, very good for me. So I'm a very visual learner, so Huntington was definitely like my number one choice, and I was like, if I don't get in, like, where am I gonna go? That was probably my biggest like thing. I just was so committed to get to Huntington at that point. And so when I got my acceptance letter and I got in, I was just so ready from that second. I was like, I'm done with high school. I'm done with the summer. Like, we could just skip summer. I'm going right to Huntington.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably how mine went. It was definitely like a long journey to try and figure out to make sure that Huntington was the best fit for me. But in the end, I honestly think like there isn't a better fit for me to go to any other school.
Yeah, so I'm kind of similar, kind of not. I'm Emma Grace, so I'm complicated.
Yeah.
When I was a senior in high school, I was committed to only going to a 2-year college. And so Huntington was not really on my radar, and I was going to go into graphic design. But then I took my second round of broadcasting classes in high school, and that class was college credit, and it was through Huntington. So that's kind of how I came to know who they were. And so then, but I was still committed with graphic design. And then I can vividly remember me and my mom going to Arby's. I don't know why I remember this, but we went to Arby's and we were just talking about, it was like September of senior year. And my mom was just talking to me about applications and things of that sort. And I'd gone into a 2-year college, but she could tell I really wasn't excited about going into graphic design. I enjoy it, but I wouldn't say it's my main passion. And so then my mom's like, well, what about broadcasting? And that was the first time I was like, oh, broadcasting can be a career? I had no idea. It's just like, it's one of those things you just do if your high school offers it and you don't think about it as a career. And like, it's funny now looking back because growing up, I was like that middle school, high schooler who would go home and I would watch the 6 o'clock news after school. Don't know why, but I used to watch it. So like WNDU, WCT were like my show growing up as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And so my mom said that to me and I was like, well, okay, but like, I was putting everything off. So I hadn't taken like the SAT or like anything to prepare myself for a 4-year college. So then all of a sudden I started looking into colleges and I'm doing the typical high school senior and staying up super late trying to figure it out because early deadline was coming up. It's like the end of September. And so then randomly offhand, my dad goes, well, what about Huntington? And I was like, again, me just like not thinking. I'm taking a class through them, but I'm not thinking about them. I'm like, oh, that would be a good place to look. And so then I took my SAT. I signed up for my SATs right before fall break, and I took my SAT. And then during fall break, I went and visited Huntington, Spring Arbor, and Manchester. And I did Huntington first, and I just remember going to those other two, and I just didn't care. I was like, Huntington is where I need to go. You just walk on that campus, and it's so beautiful, and especially in the fall. I was like, this is where I belong. I was like, it's small. It's, we're kind of our own little city within Huntington. It's kind of the dream for me. And my older brother went to Purdue, and I knew I didn't want to go to a school that big because I got scared every time I went to visit him. and so then I committed to Huntington. And so then I started doing applications after I went on my visits and whatnot. And I finished Huntington right away. And then like Spring Arbor and Manchester, I was like putting off because they were like, if I don't get in Huntington, maybe I'll go here. And then I got Huntington's acceptance letter like 2 or 3 weeks later and hadn't even finished the other two yet. I just kept putting them off. And so then I got accepted, and I was the same way. As soon as I got accepted, I was like, all right, let's go. I mean, I still had a full year of senior year left, but I was like, I figured this out in a month, which, if you know me, it's not surprising at all that I would make that drastic change from a 2-year college completely different major to this. And so then I got to Huntington, and I actually came a week early, which was kind of out of my comfort zone, to be honest with you, at that time period. I came a week early when it was just the broadcasting freshmen that came, and we had broadcast boot camp. And that's where I met the legendary Logan Hunt. And if you know Logan Hunt, you know what I'm talking about. You meet him and you know who Huntington is. And he was just so welcoming. And it was like kind of from that moment where I was like, wow, like this is really where I should be. And so, so like just from that moment, it's kind of been full force. And 4 years ago, which seems insane that it was that long ago. I don't know, kind of sum up, your college experience. We can kind of go back and forth. We've done a lot of things together, but just kind of some stories that you remember from Huntington.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's a loaded question.
I was trying to think of some. Yeah, I think my favorite thing is, like, how, like, small the community is and stuff. Just because, like, you see so many people, and everyone, like, says hi to you. Like, even if they don't know you. Like, I've had random people, like, even my senior year, like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, good. And they're like, do you know them? I'm like,
I know.
nope. But it's just, like, so nice. Like, people aren't, like, scared to say hi to you even if they don't know you. And that was kind of, like, nice for me because, like, even on my sad days, there'd be people that, like, just come up and be like, hey, how's it going? So I'm like, oh, wow, like, that just lifted my time, like, or my day up. Like, it was so nice. And definitely, like, being able to get close to people, especially, like, what you said, like, Logan. Like, Logan was, like, so accepting of, like, everybody and, like, always hung out with, like, us, even though he's a junior. We're, like, these freshmen. I have no idea what we're doing.
He really came through with the big brother card, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
No better college big brother than Logan Hunt, let me tell you.
And he was the one that showed us, like, all, like, the fun places to go, like, Lowe's. Like, I probably would have never gone to Lowe's if I didn't know because of him. And some of, like, the freshman stuff that happened, like, freshman year was, like, so much happened freshman year. Like, yeah, just, like, having a community, hanging out at the Hub. I think I missed that the most this year since they are redoing the Hub. Going to the Hub, like, late at night, getting a Hub sandwich, that was always, like, really fun to do. What about you?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think just going off the community thing, I think for me, because I came from a big high school, coming to a college that is actually smaller than my high school was, like, really weird for me, but, like, in a good way. As far as, like, community, like, you bond with people immediately. Like, there is no, like, wait time from when you get here. Everyone just kind of, and I think a part of just how Huntington is, but it's just, like, everybody looks out for each other, whether that's a professor or, you know, your peers or whoever is on campus. Like, everyone looks out for each other, and we're all just, you know, it's just very interesting because, like, for me, I had, like, a family emergency event type thing happen every single semester of my college career. And so I just remember, I remember just, I forget who I was talking to one day, but I just looked at them and I said, I'm glad I'm not going through this at, like, a state school like Purdue or IU. Because it would be completely different. My professors would not be checking in on me every so often to make sure I'm okay. And, like, yeah, I've had my close friends, but it's, like, the entire broadcasting department was, like, checking in on me, like, all the time through all of the things that happened. And so I just remember, you know, it's just, like, that community, you don't get that very many places. And Huntington is just, you know, it's that place for that. It's that small school, but I don't even know if it's just small school. I think it's just, like, a very special Huntington thing. We're like, we are family, no matter where you are. And so, yeah. So I would say that's one of my favorites, too. I would say another one is our Chicago trip.
Oh, yeah. that
was a good trip. We were packed in a van with broadcasting and film students going to Chicago. God bless Adam Widener and Lance for dealing with all of it. Yeah, because film was, like, big, too. It wasn't just broadcasting classes big. Our senior class is just big.
Yeah, that whole trip was just fun because didn't we go to, like, went to the Bean and then we got Giordano's pizza and, like, ate, like, near the Bean. Like, these, like, they just found these random benches and we're like, we're just going to eat here.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, because we went to that, because we did, like, a film thing and a broadcasting thing, which I thought was really cool to see both sides of it. But we went to, like, that editing type place first for film. I forget what it was called. I don't remember what it's called. And then we went to one of the news stations in Chicago also, so we got to see that aspect. I remember me and you seeing the control room at that news station.
Seeing, like, the TV working, we're like, oh my gosh. And everyone was like, oh, that's a lot of buttons. I'm like, but it's so cool.
I think Adam had to drag us out of there because we just, like, wouldn't leave. He's like, girls, let's go. I was like, this is my realm, Adam. This is my realm. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So how do you feel like you've developed, like, in, like, film or broadcasting for you, either one, of just, like, what did you think you wanted to do, and did that change, like, why you were at Huntington and going through the classes?
Yeah. So in film, I definitely grew a ton because I hardly knew how to use a camera. I was like, I don't know what a GH4 is or what a red camera is. Like, what is that? Like, I have no idea. And they're like, yeah, you're supposed to know how to use that. And I'm like, I use some type of camera in broadcast, like in my high school, but I had no idea what it was. And like from day one, they're like teaching me like little things about them, like how to do the iris and the focus. And like, it sounds stupid because like some kids in my class knew how to do it, but a lot of us didn't. So it's kind of nice that I wasn't like the only one like learning this stuff. So they like started from the very basic stuff, like how to use the iris and that. And that was like super helpful because like we had so many projects that like focused in on that. So it was helpful for me to remember how to use it after doing that project. They have these tutorials called Linda tutorials, and no one else after us had to do them, and I was so upset. But they were actually more helpful listening to hours of talking of like how to do shortcuts. But they were so helpful, like in teaching me how to do that. And Premiere is so much easier than iMovie. Like I tried using iMovie to help my dad edit something for work. And film also, I was always wanting to travel abroad, and I was very scared to do it because I was like, I've never done it before. And my freshman year, they had me go to Lithuania, which is near Poland. And I got to associate produce like a film out there. And that was like a huge thing because I was like, I don't even know what I want to do, but I was like, I think I want to produce. Like I was like, I don't know, because I definitely don't want to do camera. My whole class was like, I want to do cameras, and I was like, I don't know what I want, but I know I don't want to do cameras. And I didn't know what else there really was. You're like, why don't you try producing? Because you look like you're a person that wants to organize things. So I was like, okay. And that got me into like wanting to produce. And like since my freshman year, Jane term, I've been producing. Like that's really evolved through the years because I've gotten better and better at it, like trying to figure out like places to get, like how to contact people, the right way to make an email, like, and not being pushy about it. Because that's definitely hard, like in the business. And then it's broadcasting. The only thing I really did was do like a standstill camera in high school, like for our graduation. And I also did TVing a little bit. I did enjoy it a lot. And Adam had actually asked me, I mean, he asked like everybody what they wanted to do or what they liked doing. And like I said that. And he had one of the teachers, Randy, help me like learn how to use their TVing system, which wasn't actually that much different than the one I used in high school. So that was kind of nice to be able to like grow from that. And she was so helpful, like in times when I was like, I kind of want to do it, but I don't want to do it alone. So like she like kind of co-TD'd with me on a couple of shows, which was so scary because I'm like, what if I mess up? Like it shows on YouTube, like oh my gosh, so nerve-wracking. But they were fine. And with sports too, like Logan and even Justin Coleman, who's like a year older than us, were so helpful when I was trying to figure out how to use their cameras for the broadcast, which were live and had a bunch of people watching. So that was definitely also a scary time, but it was really great to get to know from day one, like how everything worked. And I've definitely grown with like getting more creative shots, like in the basketball games and catch like who's who, like even if I don't know them, like personally, but I know their number. Like, it's definitely been a lot of growing since my freshman year. Like I've definitely feel a lot more confident. I have other people that I know who like on the Ball State and stuff, and I am definitely more advanced, like not trying to cocky or anything. But I know quite a bit more than them because like they haven't started until their junior year. So, what about you? How do you improve?
Well, when I came in to Huntington, I wanted to be an investigative reporter. And it was going to be Miss Emma Grace Investigates or something like that. I forget. They came up with it for me in high school. But then somehow in college, CM developed my radio name, which is Miss Emma Grace, which people keep telling me I need to change because I'm married now, and I just can't do it because it's my radio name. I don't think I can change it. It's my identity for the past 4 years. I was like, sorry. But anyway, so when I came in, I wanted to be an investigative reporter. And then when we did when it was like the welcome weekend and we had to sign up for classes, I was doing it with Adam and Lance. And they asked me if I wanted to do radio or if I wanted to do news. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do radio because I've done news in high high school for like the past 2 years. And so I wanted to take kind of a break from it, and I hadn't really explored radio yet. Well, then I got into radio and that I just fell in love with it from the moment I started it. When I came in, forestry radio was not much of anything. It was just a room, and people are like, yeah, we got an FM radio station down there, and it plays top 40 music. But that's about it. I was like, okay, I feel like we could do more with this. But I don't even really know how I got started in taking over, but somewhere along the way, Adam had me take over, and I've flown from there and gone more from, for a while I thought, I'll be an on-air host, which I enjoy. I enjoy doing interviews, but I've really taken on this leadership type role, marketing type role as the station manager at the school. And so I would say I've developed in that area of just not limiting myself to one area of radio, but kind of like, I like all these areas, and it's developed. And I've definitely, when I came in, I would say I was a very timid person. I was very shy and quiet, and I'm not anymore. I'm the person, if any students listening to this, I'm the one who yells, "Is that Lance Clark?" across campus. That is me. I will admit it. But anyway, so it's like my personality has developed a lot. In high school, I didn't do very much other than cross country, and now I do all kinds of things on Huntington's campus, and proudly have owned the radio girl name that some people call me on campus because they don't know my real name. Yeah. And they just know I'm the radio girl. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. I love it. Let me be the radio girl. But it's like, so that's been for me. I just developed my love for storytelling, I think, over the years. I've always loved stories and hearing people's stories. But now, like, recognizing that radio is such a great avenue. Like, right now, like, during this pandemic, like the fact that we're going to be able to tell like senior stories, and not necessarily the sad part of it, but more of this is my journey and this is why I love HU type of a situation. Yeah. I think that's so cool because like our news team on campus and our sports team, they can't really do anything because news doesn't have access to the cameras right now. And sports, well, there's no sports going on. So there's nothing for them to broadcast. So it's like, for radio, it's just like one of those things, and I'm super passionate about this, and I'll try not to go on a rant about that, how radio is still important to society today, and there's still reason behind why we need it, and that I've kind of become, I don't know if activist is the right word, but I'm very passionate about radio and making sure people understand that, like, hey, it's not dying. I know people think it's going to change and it's going to have to adapt for sure, but I don't think it's going to die. People still love radio. They love to get their free tickets on the radio, and they love that one-on-one basis that you get in the car every day. And, that may develop a little bit, but I would say for sure that's me. I've very much turned into a very passionate radio person that, I think my passion just for storytelling and radio has really developed over the years, and it kind of showed me that, I wanted to be an investigative journalist for the story aspect, but I realized I can do more than just kind of those sad stories that you do in an investigative journalist position. I can kind of do the same thing in radio, but it's more, you can get some more happy stories. It's not so depressing as news.
Yeah, for sure.
Just even the two of us, how much we've both changed over the 4 years. And,
I'm glad I've changed.
I know, me too. It's just one of those things where it's like I can see myself freshman year in my, first class of college. It was Bib Hit Lit, which I would soon find out is a very difficult class. But I just remember going to that class the first day and being like, wow, this is my life now. And then going to those first TV classes and just being like, oh, this is what I'm doing now. And now it's just like, oh, now it's over. It's kind of sad. So I know things are kind of strange because of this pandemic and all of our futures are kind of on a pause, but what are your plans for after graduation, if you have any?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out because I was planning on hopefully getting a job with my internship here in South Bend. So I have been commuting every Thursday and sometimes Tuesdays to South Bend, which has been difficult, but it's definitely been something I've really enjoyed because I love my internship. And I'm working with this place called Miles Media, and they're like a small film company, and they do things that are like really impactful with the community. It's kind of based on like Christianity and like different Christian things. Like we're working on this thing called Nimrod and Gilgamesh, and we're talking about like whether they're related and like whether one impacted the other or not, and getting interviews for that, and doing like kind of a reenactment of Adam and Eve. So that's been like kind of cool how that goes. But it's something I definitely like doing. And so this internship, I'm still hoping once this is all over, I can work for them. But if not, I have also been applying to jobs, fixing my resume. It's been annoying. My resume. No job has the exact same things that you have to have on your resume. There's a change for every job, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can I just get a job already? I know. But it is definitely difficult, knowing that a bunch of people are getting laid off or in unemployment right now, at least for this time being, and it's a little scary not knowing where I'm gonna be. Because at this point, I at least wanted to know that like I was getting interviews and stuff. So, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit difficult, especially with graduation and trying to figure everything out before then, or even have to wait till after then. But we'll figure it out. What about you? What are your plans?
So for me, as of now, I'm going to start working for the radio stations here in Warsaw, and I'll do sales and whatnot for them. I did some board apping for them this past basketball season, which was super awesome. I got to work with two legends around here, Tim and Rita, and they're just super fun people, and just to work with them was an incredible honor, and just I don't know, there's no way to describe it other than fun. I looked forward to going to work all the time, and I was really sad when we got cut short because of all the sports being canceled and things of that sort. But I'll be going and working for them in sales, hopefully. I'm not quite sure. Kind of like you, kind of like every senior right now. If you did have a job lined up, you still don't know what that's going to look like. You may still be able to work there, but it might be a little bit longer before you get to work there, which is totally understandable. And so I think a lot of seniors this next month will be starting to contact their employers and just trying to figure out what this is going to mean for them after graduation. For a lot of us, it's just kind of, it's a weird time to graduate college, let me tell you. Because it's like we're all like trying to be proactive, but it's like at the same time we know everybody's in the same boat, and that like employers aren't ignoring us or anything. It's just like, hey, we don't know yet what's going to happen.
They don't know. They don't know financially where they're going to be at when this is over, because who knows how long it's going to last.
So, to wrap up, let's do advice. Let's do senior advice.
So for people who are going into college, a freshman year is going to be your hardest year. Like, no matter what you think, like, if you take these classes, because the social aspect is like a whirlwind. Like, there's freshman dating season. Like, not everyone does it, but it's definitely something that happens when you don't plan for it. And there's a bunch of other things that, like, you're trying to get into your schedule. Like, you're going to be homesick. You're going to have all of these issues, and you're going to want to give up. Because there's a couple times even I was like, I just want to, like, go home. I'm done with these people. They piss me off. Like, I've had a hard time with, like, friends and that, and like just trying to work through things, but you just have to keep going with it, because it does get better. And like when you look back on it, you're like, man, I was so stupid as a freshman. Like, the things I like remember, like in my classes, like I was like, man, I could have done so much better if I just put a little bit more effort into it. I think that's another thing, like just making sure you're not slacking, letting the social aspect take over, even if you're not a freshman, because that's something that's really hard. Because your friends are like, hey, you want to go to the movies, and you're supposed to be writing your paper for academic writing and research. And you're like, I could do it in the morning at like 5 a.m. and finish it before class. I definitely did that. That was not a great plan. Just like kind of making sure you do have somewhat of a schedule for you. Like, you don't have to plan out like when you're going to hang out with people, but making sure you have plenty of time to like be social and get your homework done is my biggest thing. For me, I have two, and I'm sure you've heard this because I tell our incoming freshmen this
every year at broadcast boot camp. But my first one is, it's not cool, kind of like what you said. It's not cool to pull an all-nighter for our freshmen. Don't do it if you don't have to. My younger brother was a freshman in college this year, and I told him this piece of advice, and he goes, "That was the best advice you've ever given me." So there it comes. My little brother, who normally doesn't listen to my advice, listens to it and is thankful for it. So to all you freshmen, incoming or whatever, it's not cool to stay up all night. Sometimes you have to. You do have to once in a while for college, but you don't have to do it on purpose. Like, it's okay. Yeah. You can get your homework done early. It'll be okay, I promise.
Yeah.
It's actually better. And then my second one would be start doing internships as early as you can. I think I did 3 internships altogether, and I had my first one my freshman year of college. And I would say that was the best thing I ever did because it furthered me beyond the classroom as far as my career. And I have a lot more knowledge going into the workforce than I would have had just going to classes and maybe doing an internship later. I know you've done 2 internships, and then I did 3 altogether, and you did some other stuff too with sales and whatnot. And so it's like just getting that experience outside the classroom is like my biggest thing. And I'm a big podcast person also. And so just listening to podcasts in your career field helps a lot. For me, I did it because I'm in broadcasting, and so we interview a lot, and so I listen to podcasts to listen to how people interview because I'm weird like that. But other people, it helps though. It really did. Like, it really developed my interviewing skills by watching other people interview.
Thank you, Paige,
others.
for joining me for this first episode of Rooted Senior Conversations. If you are a senior and would like to be highlighted on this series, please email our station manager, Miss Emma Grace, at lehman@huntington.edu. That's LEHMANE@huntington.edu. Or by contacting us on our social media platforms. And thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted on your preferred podcast app. And remember, you can listen to Forester Radio anytime, anywhere on foresterradio.com. Stay safe and stay rooted, HU.